How about these guys? Marcus Stroman, Drew Smyly, Cody Bellinger, Kyle Hendricks, and Jan Gomes. There are some decisions to be made in those Cubs offices, and we'll see how it all shakes out because each and every single one of these guys, they were a difference maker at some point in the season, especially the dude in the middle with a $25 million mutual option and that $5 million buyout. He is going to see a huge payday right around the corner. So here's Cody Bellinger on what it meant to rock that Cubby blue.
I really just enjoyed my time with this group of guys, with this coaching staff. Playing for the Cubs organization in Wrigley Field was really special. And, these last 2 weeks I really just tried to embrace it, have fun with these group of guys, and obviously try and help this team win.
Well, he did help the Cubs win. He said it was very special playing on this squad. Plain and simple, how much do you think this cat's going to get paid? If it's not by the Cubs, by somebody else?
Well, 5-6 years, 150, 200 million is probably going to be what it's going to take to have his services. I think he has to make up for, he lost a couple years where he underperformed. He got a great opportunity here in Chicago. He was healthy. We saw the health. We saw in the spring training. He didn't change much. So I think that's the reason he didn't speak much on it. I think he wanted to just go show that he was healthy enough to go out here and produce again. And he's back. He's back on the map. He's a big piece to anybody's puzzle. Hopefully it's the Cubs.
Absolutely.
Hopefully he really enjoyed it here. Hopefully, he loved everything about where this team was going. And he has to remember he's in control. I know his agent is great. I know his agent's been incredible. Scott Boras has been around forever. He's done tremendous things for a lot of players, but he's in control. And I think at this juncture in his career, he has to be really smart about where he's comfortable and where he can excel and be great. And I think when you look at this team, he knows how big he was for this lineup. He knows how big he was for this team moving forward. And when you have that type of feeling, I don't know if you really want to test the waters. Even though you want to get paid, I think you want to be careful about testing the waters.
He mentioned it the other day. He's only played in two places,
Yep.
L.A. and here. Well, he knows after playing here, he loved playing here. And the quality of life is good. The fan support is fantastic. You're with a great group of guys. So you hope that if the offers are competitive, that he thinks about that and he's like, God, I really love playing there and I like what they're doing. I like where they're going. There's a lot of talent there. There's a lot of talent coming. This could be a special place to play. And that's if the offers are close, right? Because and I think he would come back. I really do. The interesting thing about him is you could bid for his services if you need a center fielder, a right fielder, or a first baseman.
Yeah.
And he fills a lot of needs for a lot of teams. So I think it'll be pretty competitive, but I know everyone would love to have him back.
Yeah, and you can't take away from going out there and getting the max money. You can't. Look, that's what free agency is all about. The red carpet is in your favor, it's in your court. I just really think about going back to certain situations where you have comparable money from different teams, and it's like, okay, I'm going into a situation where you desperately need my services. Now, it might be New York. It might be some place where, that city might not be what you're looking for at that particular time in your career. I just always like to be comfortable. That was one thing I enjoyed.
If I was advising Cody, I would say, what about Chicago made your year better? Was it all you? Was the hitting coach really good for you? Was it the guys in the clubhouse? Was it playing for David Ross? Was it the atmosphere that made you so comfortable? Really sit down and evaluate why you had so much success. Because no matter how much money you have, if you're not producing, you're miserable.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Right? So he wants to produce, and if this is the best place, don't let it come down to money.
Okay, we'll see if years or AAV is more important to Cody over the long term. 5 years, $140 million doesn't sound crazy. That's $28 million a season.
You shortchanged him $10 million.
We'll see how it all shakes out. Another guy, Marcus Stroman. Cliff, what do you expect to see from Agent Zero? Patrick Mooney of The Athletic, he said he expects Marcus Stroman to opt in.
Well, if he opts in, I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think, what we saw from Stroman healthy, you need for this rotation. And he talked about it all season long. And I don't want to get into why it didn't happen because we don't know. That's all speculation. But when you think about a guy who can spin the ball, can sink the ball, can do some different things for your rotation, I think he's a big piece also to this puzzle moving forward.
I think if you take the last 16 starts of last year and the first 16, he was probably the best pitcher in baseball. But you got to get a full season out of him.
Yeah.
And 32 starts.
Okay. Kyle Hendricks, he's a guy who, when he came back off the IL, he absolutely flourished. And Cubs chairman yesterday, he told Boog and JD, that's Tom Ricketts, he said that Kyle Hendricks, it's likely he's going to come back, but he's putting the ball in Jed Hoyer's court. So what do you say when it comes to the professor being a Cub next season?
I think it's going to happen.
Yeah,
I think if you compare him against guys that pitch like he does, I mean, he made 24 straight starts. And had an ERA in the 3s. There aren't a lot of pitchers that did that.
There aren't.
He didn't miss a start, and he averaged 5.7 innings. And if you look at some of the contracts that were divvied out last year, and you got to remember, if you don't sign him, he's getting $1.5 million. So it's really, if you do sign him, you're saved. It's $14.5 million. Look at what guys got last year, and you can't tell me that those guys had a better year than he did. Maybe Eflin did, but the previous years were not good. Eflin had 2 knee surgeries. Evaldi, 2 Tommy Johns. Jameson Taillon, Tommy John, all these guys had injury problems. So I actually think it's a great deal for both. And I think he loves it here so much. If he had another good year, he might be able to sign him just for one more year and just keep going 1-year deals until he's done.
I always talk about health, man. He looks good, right? And when you see a guy, get himself back on track, you can get max effort out of him. So I think you're looking at a guy, if you get him back into this rotation, this is what he's looking to do for you. And you can never have enough pitching depth. We've seen that throughout every year. If you don't have enough pitching depth, at some point you're going to succumb to, an injury, something's going to derail you, whatever the case may be. So he gave them a boost when he got back, in that rotation, obviously down the stretch. Those are the arms you desperately need.
Yeah. And you can say they took off after he came back, because he came back at the end of May.
The numbers certainly productive from Kyle Hendricks, and you'd hate to see him go elsewhere and see him continue to pitch as well as he pitched this year. So that $16 million option